Okay, so Six Nations this weekend. England played Wales at Twickenham. Tale of two halves. First half, better forgotten, I think. The second half was brilliant, I think. Wales dominated that second half after they conceded that early try at the beginning from Alex Donbrandt. They were the better side. But again, Wales have given the opposition a healthy lead to chase down. Wales gave England a 17-point head start, and it's finally caught up with Wales. In the past, Wales have had some great comebacks. They've had some great come from behind wins. They've been behind on the scoreboard at half time, and they've overturned it and blown teams away in the second half. They did blow England away in the second half, but they couldn't overturn the points deficit. And I've been saying for years that Wales, can't continue to do this long term, because eventually it will become mentally fatiguing more than physically fatiguing, and it's started to catch up with them. They did this against Ireland. They were blown out of the water by Ireland, and England didn't blow them out of the water, but they were gifted 17 points by Wales. Wales just didn't show up in the first half at all, plain and simple. England weren't great in the first half, but they didn't need to be. Second half is where all the entertainment happens and all the tries. England get 4 penalties in the first half that Marcus Smith slots. He does miss one. Liam Williams gets a yellow card for a deliberate hand in the right knock on, whatever you want to call it. He interferes with the scrum half in it on the line. By the letter of the law, yeah, it's in that 5 metre zone. It's a deliberate hand in there. He's on the floor, shouldn't do it. England don't take advantage of Wales being down to 14 players for 10 minutes. And yeah, again, that's messages that have been given to Courtney Lawes as the captain. They've decided not to go for the post and keep the scoreboard ticking over for that 10-minute period. They've decided to go for the line out, which hasn't actually been as effective today as England would have hoped. But Wales, whenever they were kicking to keep the ball in play. But noticing that the England line out was misfiring at times, you would have thought, at least let's try to challenge the line out. Let's put the line out under pressure. They didn't do that in the first half. Marcus Smith gets penalties on 3 minutes, 6 minutes, 30 minutes, and on the stroke half time 40 minutes. Right, that's the first half discussed. I mean, I could go on about all the reset scrums and Carl Sinclair constantly standing up and the scrum being a mess, but I'd rather not drone on about scrums for forever, because that was painful. England 6-0 up. They've started brightly. They have started brightly, and they are on the front foot, but Wales get a bit of possession. They go down the other end, and there's just a procession of reset scrums. After about the 5th attempt, call a penalty or a free kick and be done with it. No, it continues. Eventually, Wales get the penalty. Don't do anything with it. In fact, they end up losing possession. Whatever you make of it. But yeah, that's enough talking about the first half, because that wasn't a great first half. Second half was brilliant. But I will say this, that Welsh line-out for Alex Donbrandt's try, what is the hooker doing? What is the line-out call? Why is the opposition number 8 running onto the ball, catching it from 5 metres out and scoring? Alex Donbrandt will not have an easier try. I just do not understand. But I will say this, that woke Wales up. Wales were the better team in the second half over the whole 40 minutes. Josh Adams' try is brilliant. As soon as he scores that try, it's just Wales. It's just Wales. England are now starting to creak a little bit. And guess what time Josh Adams scores his try? It's 54 minutes. Nick Tompkins tries dead on 60 minutes. And this is the time where England tend to implode in games. They did against Scotland at this time. They're creaking against Wales at this time. Now, England haven't had to play exceptionally well up to this point. Now we have a game on. And Wales are winning the game, in my opinion. And they're winning the second half. And they win the second half 19 points to 11. And deservedly dominate the second half, but they're playing catch-up. And you can only do that for so long in any sport, giving teams leads and playing catch-up, before eventually it becomes mentally taxing and you can't keep doing it. And this is twice that Wales have done it this year in the Six Nations. First match against Ireland, they're destroyed in the first half. Well, the first 60 minutes. And while England didn't destroy Wales today, they had a comfortable lead. and they could hold on. And that's the difference in class between Ireland and France and England and Wales. Is England didn't destroy Wales today. They won on the scoreboard, but I think Wales won the physical contest, the creative contest. They won on the line breaks, tries scored. So they get a losing bonus point. They didn't get the try bonus point. They looked more threatening in attack, especially in the wide channels. Overall, I think Wales in that second half, if they had played for the whole 80 minutes, England lose the game. There's no question on that. But this is not the same Wales side that had that record-breaking win last year in Cardiff against England. Something has happened to Wales in the 12 months. And England, Marcus Smith, without Marcus Smith, I think England are in trouble, basically. Marcus Smith has kept them, has been their best player, basically. You take Marcus Smith out of the England side, does George Ford have the same impact? Does another fly half have the same impact? That's the question. Marcus Smith has been that important in these 3 games. Yes, we know Owen Farrell would be starting if he was fit, but that's how crucial Marcus Smith has been with this misfiring England side. I'm going to describe it as that because their second halves have been appalling. Now, he does respond with 2 penalties after the Nick Tompkins try. That's England scoring done. That's their 23 points. Marcus Smith has got all but 5 of them. Let that sink in how many points he's just scored. He's got his own test record there. It's equaling his performance against Canada. Basically, he scored 18 of England's 23 points. That is how crucial Marcus Smith is to this England side right now. Kieran Hardy, the replacement scrum half, he gets his try literally on the stroke of full time. There's seconds left on the clock when Dan Biggar takes a quick conversion. 19 points in, 36 minutes? It's caught up with Wales that they can't play catch-up all the time. They have to be intense from the first whistle. That first half killed Wales, basically. Their second half, fair play to the Welsh for how they went about that second half. They were throwing the ball around. They were running from deep. They were keeping the ball in play. England were holding on at times in that second half. But England, to their credit, also had their line breaks and put pressure on the Welsh defence. And because the Welsh were playing catch-up, mistakes are going to happen. Knock-ons, penalties, misplaced passes. The breakdown became more important. But in my opinion, these sides France are a class ahead. There's a clear separation now in the Northern Hemisphere as things currently stand, and I think the way the French have been building for the last couple of years, they are on the up, whereas these sides have hit their peak and are meandering with a lot of new faces. There's players injured, I understand that. Both sides are actually missing their normal captains, so there's a leadership vacuum, I think, in places. I mean, don't get me wrong, Dan Biggar is an exceptional player and he's a great choice to be captain in the absence of Adam Wynne-Jones. On the England side of things, they're on their second captain of the tournament. Courtney Lawes has come back in. Tom Curry's had a mixed go of things in the captaincy position. So there's a leadership vacuum. The game management from England is still questionable in the second half of games. Wales, their intensity levels, they only can play 40 minutes, it seems, although the Scotland game was their best performance out of the 3. On an England side of things, I don't think they've had a great performance yet. All their performances have been about the same. Their second halves aren't good enough. Too many mistakes. Too many silly penalties, still. The scrum time's a mess. Line-out's not functioning as efficiently as it should, and that's for both sides. And you take Marcus Smith out of this England side, he's scored the majority of their points so far in the tournament. England are in serious trouble. On the Welsh side of things, the Welsh are in trouble. Now, they get the bonus point for losing by less than 7. But 1 win in 3. England labour to another win. Ireland are better than England and Wales right now, and France is just a step ahead of everyone else. I can't see these sides threatening the French or the Irish. Well, Wales already been battered by the Irish, but I can't see England threatening France in the weeks to come. I just can't see it. Not with how their second half went, and not with some of the poor decision making And well, Marcus Smith is, you know, going to be a superstar. I've no doubt on that. He's undoubtedly a talented player. I think he's a better version of Danny Cipriani for his creativity. Um, and well, he has to bulk up a little bit so he can be better defensively, because I think defensively is where his weakness is at. But game management as well, he's got to improve slightly. There's no doubting his skill and ability. He's only just turned 22, so he's, you know, he was 4 when England won the World Cup. Let's just put it that way. He's still young. He's still developing his game. So game management is going to come into that. But when you're coming up against a player like Dan Biggar, with the amount of experience Dan Biggar has, Dan Biggar was driving that team today in the second half. First half, yeah, no, there was no intensity from Wales. They didn't look at the races, and that's again, the coach names the team, sets up the set plays. They work on set plays in training. That's on the players. So that Welsh squad needs to look at themselves and look at their intensity in matches, and the England squad needs to look at themselves and look at their discipline in certain areas, their temperament and their game management, because both sides, in my opinion, are still below par. But there we go. Second half. I know I didn't go into in depth about the second half, but it was so entertaining. But this is more a synopsis and a breakdown of how both sides have played in the first 3 games. Leave a lot to be desired. But that Welsh second half was brilliant. They just couldn't pull off the great escape again. They couldn't pull off the great comeback again. And they've done it a lot. Well, they've been down at half time and trailing by double figure points, 17 or 20 points, and they have done these amazing comebacks, but it wasn't to be today. England, while they were good in patches in the game, and they had their own spells in the second half as well, still can't put in an 8-minute performance, and were holding on for the last 20 minutes. And so there's still a lot of concerns with the England side going forward as well. So there we go. I'm going to leave that there. Thank you very much for watching. Please place your comments below, and I will have some more videos for you very, very soon.